On the news tonight, President Tinubu to mark 73rd birthday with special prayer. House of Representatives rescinds resolution on the second reading of 2 bills seeking to review provisions for immunity clause, capital punishment in the 1999 Constitution. Federal government backs 2025 Stockholm Junior Water Prize to boost climate adaptation. Good evening and welcome to Nta Ijebu Ode News at 7. My name is Mercy Ezeshi. We apologize for being behind schedule, and here are the news in details. President Bola Tinubu says the interest of the citizens of the 3 Sahelian countries and the security of the sub-region must be taken into account while ECOWAS continues consideration of a reconnection with the 3 countries that have pulled out of the bloc. The president said this after receiving his Ghanaian counterpart, John Mahama, who visited the Sahelian country military leaders recently. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab reports.
President John Dramani Mahama on a visit to the Nigeria's presidential villa for the 2nd time since he was re-elected for his 2nd term as president of Ghana. It was a meeting of 2 long-time friends leading to neighboring countries with shared values and long-standing relations. A thank you visit from President Mahama to President Tinubu for his solidarity before and after his election. But then, the deliberation between the 2 leaders behind closed doors was apparently of greater importance to the peace, security, and most significantly, the regional integration of West Africa that is being waned with the withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. The Ghanaian president, after his inauguration barely 3 months ago, had visited the 3 dissenting countries.
It's my duty to come and brief him on some of the concerns that were raised there, so that we continue to see how to dialogue with those other countries.
Most definitely, sir, the region will be willing to have the 3 Sahelian countries back. Any good news from them?
Well, it's a complicated situation, and it's not as easy as we might think, but we just need to continue to dialogue and see how we can continue to cooperate together.
For the ECOWAS chairman, the consideration of the body is much more than the interests of the leaders in the sub-region, but the social and economic reflections as they affect the citizens of the 3 Sahelian countries.
To have a bridge between the AES countries and the ECOWAS is not a bad idea for us because of the security situation in the Sahel region and what economic opportunity that we must embark to ensure security of life and properties of our citizens. The innocent people in this episode are the citizens of those countries. Not much about us, the leadership. The citizens must be the first, beneficiary and the first part of reasons together.
This is the 3rd leader from the sub-region to visit the 3 countries after President Faye Singbe of Togo and Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal. The 3 Sahelian states completed their withdrawal from ECOWAS in January, but still within the 6-month ultimatum given by ECOWAS for their reconsideration. And just yesterday, Abramane Chane has been sworn in as the military president of Niger for a transitional period of 5 years. The reaction of ECOWAS is yet to be seen. From the State House, Musbao Wahab, NT News.
Senate has passed for 2nd reading a bill that seeks to amend the Electoral Act 2022. The amendment bill, sponsored by Senator Saliu Mustafa, makes provision for the participation of elected office holders as statutory delegates. Also proposed in the amendment is that election be scheduled to hold on the same day, as well as reducing the period of campaign in election. The bill seeks to reduce the cost of election in Nigeria and enhance citizens' participation in the electoral process. The House of Representatives have withdrawn its resolution on the second reading of two bills aimed at revising the immunity clause and capital punishment provisions in the 1999 Constitution. This decision was made at Thursday's plenary, where 31 additional Constitution alteration bill scaled second reading. Our National Assembly correspondent, Nta Ijebu, reports.
Leader of the House, Julius Ihonwere, moved the rescission motion, emphasizing the need for further consultations among lawmakers on the bills seeking review of the constitutional provisions on immunity clause and capital punishment.
To qualify the immunity conferred on the President, remove the immunity conferred on the Vice President, the governors and their deputies, in order to curb corruption, eradicate impunity, and enhance accountability. And the other is a bill to review the penalties for certain capital offenses in alignment with relevant international best practices. We're aware that the provisions of the bills require that the House will take a second look at it. And cognizant of the need to rescind these bills, we resolve that these bills be rescinded by this House.
And I thank you for your understanding. The sponsors of the bill will keep it until we debate later on in a more thorough, comprehensive form. Thank you.
Meanwhile, 31 constitution alteration bills passed second reading during Thursday's plenary. One of the bills proposes a shift from the current presidential system to a parliamentary system of government. Other constitution amendment proposals include to reduce the period for determination of pre-election matters, to provide special seats for women in the national and state houses of assembly, and to include youths and persons living with disabilities in political appointments. There were separate resolutions to investigate the abuse of tax exemptions, the use of explosives in mining activities, and the backlog of students awaiting call to bar.
Because the delays in this process are unacceptable and contribute unnecessary suffering among aspiring lawyers and their families.
The Zebasit quarry, located along Arab Road in Kubwa, Abuja, has been operating with significant negative impact. Continuous ground vibration from the quarry explosive have weakened buildings, infrastructures in the area.
House has adjourned plenary till 29th of April 2025 to observe the Salah and Easter holidays. From the National Assembly, Nta Ijebu, NTA News.
The federal government is set to institutionalize the reward and recognition system to honor civil servants who demonstrate exceptional diligence, integrity, accountability, and a citizen-centered approach in their duties. This was contained in a message by the head of civil servants of the Federation, Didi Esther Wilson-Jack, to participants at the training on the federal government's reward and recognition system. Haman Jabani reports.
The Reward and Recognition Scheme is a key initiative under the staff welfare reform developed by the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. It aligns with the Federal Civil Service Strategic and Implementation Plan, FC25, aimed at motivating excellence in service delivery. The system is designed to recognize and reward outstanding contributions by civil servants, even in challenging circumstances. By doing so, it seeks to create role models, promote positive behaviors, and support the achievement of goals across ministries, departments, and agencies. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Didi Esther Wilson-Jack, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Career Management Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, emphasized that training is organized for committee members at 3 levels to ensure deserving civil servants are duly recognized.
It is important when somebody has made an effort, has dedicated himself to giving excellent service to the public within the government, within the federal civil service, for you to reward and recognize that effort. It improves the value proposition for the civil servant. It makes them feel good, and it's something that will boost their morale and also improve productivity. So it's a win-win situation.
Participants will be guided through the selection process of awardees at the departmental, ministerial, and service-wide levels.
And one of the requirements for anyone to be considered for any of the awards categories is that you must provide evidence. So it's not enough to write something and say, oh, this person has done something. We want to see evidence. That's the only way we can ensure that we maintain the integrity of this system.
And in my own ministry, they are always showcased on every month by pictures, electrical picture that rolls out to motivate and encourage others to copy.
The participants will be responsible for cascading the training to their respective MDAs, ensuring nationwide implementation of the R&R system. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Federal government has pledged full support for the 2025 Stockholm Junior Water Prize competition aimed at fostering innovation in water and environmental management among young Nigerians. Vice President Kashim Shettima, represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, made the commitment during a press conference in the Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
This guest visiting the State House to appreciate Nigeria's participation for 28 years in the international competition, covering almost 35 countries. This year's competition is most significant given the discussions that resulted from Vice President Kashim Shettima's engagement in Oslo in 2024 and the anticipated visit of the Crown Princess of Sweden later in the year.
Stockholm Junior Water Prize has been around for almost 28 years now.
Represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ibrahim Hadija, the Vice President notes that the competition will get the younger generation between the ages of 15 to 20 acquainted with problems and challenges associated with water at their tender age.
He said it's open. Will continue to collaborate with the Swedish Embassy to expand the awareness to ensure that we get as wide a participation as possible, and which will culminate, of course, in the events leading up to selecting one person from Nigeria that would now participate at the final session sometime in August, I believe.
We encourage schools, teachers and parents to encourage their young ones to submit their ideas and be a part of this important competition that gives global relevance.
The international competition organized by the Stockholm International Water Institute aims at engaging young minds in addressing global water challenges, and it is for secondary and tertiary school students to write projects on water-related issues and how it could be solved. From March 27th to May 2nd, 2025, qualified candidates will be followed by a national final that will take place at the Swedish Embassy in Abuja later in the year. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Ahead of his 73rd birthday on Saturday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, will join fellow Muslims at the National Mosque in Abuja on Friday for a special prayer section for the nation. Special Advisor to the President, Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement indicated that the President will also use this occasion to thank God for preserving and supporting him in the onerous task of piloting the nation's affairs. President Tinubu's birthday coincides with the holy month of Ramadan and comes 2 months before his administration's second anniversary. The statement added that on this significant day, the President will dedicate himself to spiritual reflection and supplication for Nigerians' continued peace, progress and prosperity. Choosing a prayer section reflects President Tinubu's dedication to Nigerians' spiritual and moral well-being and his commitment to seeking divine guidance, insight and strength in leadership. He believes collective prayer is a powerful tool for guiding the nations towards progress and harmony. President Tinubu invites the public to join the prayer section in spirit by offering prayers at their places of worship or wherever they may be, reinforcing a nationwide commitment to unity and shared destiny. We'll be going on a break. Please stay tuned.
أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
مرحبا بكم يا رمضان، مرحبا بكم يا رمضان، مرحبا بكم يا رمضان. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Yes, it is here again, Ramadan 1446 AH 2025. Nta Ijebu Ode, the heritage station, is at it again to avail us the opportunity to maximize the abundant reward during the period through our packages such as tafsir, call to prayer, station live show, short admonition, and lots more. For further inquiries, contact the marketing department, Nta Ijebu Ode, TV House, Eruwa Road, GRA Ijebu Ode, Ogun State, or call 080 28 36 4801 or 080 29 41 14 73. Ramadan 1446 AA. What a rewarding experience.
رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان.
Welcome back from the break. Now the news continues. As the Ramadan fast nears its conclusion, Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has urged Islamic clerics to focus their sermon and prayers on fostering national progress. The governor was speaking at the 2025 Iftar gathering in Akure, where he joined the Muslim community in breaking their fast. Paul Omokago reports.
This predominantly Muslim gathering holds significant importance as it serves as a unifying platform for both Islamic and Christian faithful. Beyond the iftar, which is the evening breaking of fast that marks the end of the day's spiritual exercise, it also provides an opportunity for engagement between the Muslim community, government officials, and political leaders. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, while commending the Muslim Ummah for their support and understanding, stressed the need for peaceful coexistence, tolerance, mutual respect, and love among residents of the state.
Let us continue to work together, driven by our shared vision of a brighter future for Ondo State.
The chairman of the Ondo State Muslim Welfare Board, Zikrullah Shandi, urged Muslims to uphold the core values of Ramadan, including selflessness, tolerance, love, and unity.
I thank all the principal imams and Muslim Christians present here today for their tireless effort in shaping the future of our state.
The Iftar event, which featured lectures and prayers for Ondo State and the nation in general, concluded with a symbolic breaking of fast. In Akure, Paul Mukago, NTA News.
The federal government has declared Monday, March 31st and Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 as public holiday to mark Eid el-Fitr. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, who made the announcement in a statement, congratulates Muslims on the successful completion of Ramadan and urges them to uphold values of self-discipline, compassion and peace. He calls on Nigerians to use the period to pray for national unity and prosperity while celebrating responsibly and supporting the less privileged. The minister extends El Mubarak wishes on behalf of the government, hoping the season brings happiness and fulfillment to all. Next on our line is Sports Update with Francis Kabile as guide.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria will play a friendly match against their longtime rivals, the Black Stars of Ghana, in London. Eric Chelle's team will face Russia in Moscow on Friday, June 6, before heading to England for the match against the Black Stars, with exact date and venue still to be confirmed. This friendly will serve as preparation for the Super Eagles ahead of their 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and South Africa in September.
I think it's an opportunity to create synergy in the team and also help the team
build more synergy, have a better understanding of the tactics of the coach and all of that. So I think it's a good one.
For me, I think this would be an opportunity, when they play the friendlies, it would be a very good opportunity for the team, to kind of like take themselves away from the loss and then prepare themselves, going forward, to take on the next 4 matches that they have in the World Cup qualifiers.
Meanwhile, just a month before the 2025 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations is set to begin, Côte d'Ivoire has officially stepped down as the host of the tournament. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) had previously announced Côte d'Ivoire as the host nation for 2024, but on Wednesday, the Ivorian government instructed the Football Federation to withdraw from hosting responsibilities as president of the Ivorian Football Federation, Yassine Idriss Dailo, confirmed in a press release that the government had formally informed them of the withdrawal, although no specific reasons has been provided. In another development, after weeks of non-stop action in other local government areas, attention now shifts to Yenagoa City local government in Nigeria's biggest grassroots football spectacle, tagged the Prosperity Cup. In an opening day fixture at the Ogboloma Center, Ibogene FC beat Taylor Creek FC by a lone goal. Victor scored the only goal of the encounter on 14th minute with a clever finish. And finally, Ima Raducanu's remarkable journey to the quarterfinals of the Miami Open came to an end after a match against 4th seed Jessica Pegula. The American player managed to overcome a challenging mid-match rally from Raducanu, winning 6-4, 6-7, 6-2. With sports updates, Francis Kabile, NTA Sports.
That's all we have for you today on Nta Ijebu Ode News at 7. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great night.